Hello and welcome back to my Fantasia toy box. I'm Professor Toybox and this is Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, and once again it's time for another episode of Toy Box Tutorials. We've been looking at the Path Creator tool, and last time I showed you how to connect both a friend generator and a friendly wave generator to a path to make a townsperson walk along a path. Today we're going to do the same thing with the enemy generator and the enemy wave generator. We're going to do that over here. If you remember, when we first talked about these toys in episode 10, we skipped the path connection part of them because we hadn't talked about paths yet. So I want to go back and revisit these toys to show you how to do that. Connecting enemies to a path is similar in process to connecting townspeople, but there are some different options and it doesn't quite work the same way, so this is definitely worth covering. The Path Creator is another way to set up a patrol route for your enemies in your toy box. We previously used the enemy trail guide to make the brooms march back and forth between the well and the cistern over there, but that's not the only way to do it. You can also use a path. There are advantages and disadvantages to using each Creativa toy, and personally I happen to think that the enemy trail guide is the best way to go, at least for what I need here. But both tools have their uses, and I want you to see them both so you know why you might pick one over the other. To save time, and come in here to Spark mode, I've already dropped the enemy generator and the enemy wave generator and a locator and two buttons up here on the wall out of the way so the enemies won't detect us and we can watch what's going on. And all I did was place these toys so that you didn't have to watch me scrolling through the Creativa Toys drawer. So the first thing we're going to do is create the path, and this will be the patrol route for the enemies. And as I place that, it puts me in point creation mode. And I'm going to come over here and drop a point about midway on that gate. And as I drop the second point, of course, you see it's trying to fit a curve between all of these points. And this is the first difference between using a path for a patrol route versus using the enemy trail guide. Because with the enemy trail guide, the enemies will march in a straight line from one trail guide to the other and go directly to the next trail guide. But here, they're going to march along a curve between the points. And so that's the first difference to be aware of. And there are times where you might want to do that. There are times where you might not want it to do that. In the Path Creator properties, I'm going to set the looped flag to true, and the speed I'm going to set to 40. Anywhere from 30 to 50 is a good walking speed for the enemies. And let's start with the enemy generator. So we're going to do a new logic connection, or a new path connection rather. And we'll come to our path. And there we go. So that works just like the friend generator did last week. Unlike the friend generator, we can connect this up to a locator. And the enemy will spawn at the locator and will go to the path and start walking along the path. I don't know why that doesn't work for the friend generator and does for the enemy generator, but there you go. Under the properties, under generated enemy options, we have two additional properties that the friend generator did not have. There's this ignore outside influences setting, and by default that is on. And what that means is the enemy is going to walk this path and completely ignore what's happening around it. So you can run up to him. He is not going to stop walking the path to attack you. He's going to ignore you. If you have a safety dome or a treasure canister inside of the toy box, he will not run off and try to attack that. He's going to continue walking that path. And if you turn this off, then he'll walk the path until an enemy or a player comes within range, and then he'll start attacking it. And if you have this flag on, return to path after attacking, then when the player is defeated or the player moves out of the enemy's attack range, it'll return to the path and continue walking the path. And if you turn that off, once the enemy leaves the path to attack you, he will not return to it. I'm going to leave both of these on the same way it was originally, and we'll leave the movement style set to loop. And we'll come up to our buttons, and on the first button, we'll do a new logic connection, when pressed. come to the enemy generator, and I'm going to go down to the Brave drawer, and we're going to put a mahogany bear in the toy box. And on the second button, we'll use this as a reset to take the bear out without having to fight him. So we'll come to the enemy generator and do a remove all. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Press the first button. And there's our bear. Makes his entrance roar. And he starts walking the path. And as we come down here and walk around him, you can see he's completely ignoring me. And it doesn't matter if I attack him or what I do to him, I am beneath his notice. He does not care about me at all. So let's go ahead and take him out. And now I'm going to come over to the enemy generator and we're going to change one of those flags. So we'll come to properties. Whoa, that's kind of weird. And I'm going to turn that ignore outside influences setting off. You have no idea how much the completionist in me wants to go down there and grab those sparks. Okay, so there's our bear. And he's walking the path. And now, as we approach, notice he noticed me. He looks right at me, but he keeps walking the path. That's not the behavior that he's supposed to do. And I'm not sure if it's just a bug on my Wii U, or if maybe one of the last game updates they did broke that behavior, but nothing I do is going to cause him to start attacking me. And it's not that he's ignoring me, because he does look at me, and if you put like a stormtrooper in here, they will talk to you and tell you to halt and all those fun things, but they still keep walking the path. So that's unfortunate. And what that means is, if we come back over here to the enemy generator and look under the options, because he's never going to leave the path and attack me, it doesn't matter what I set this to. On my Wii U, he's going to keep walking that path. And that's too bad. And with the enemy generator, there's no way to fix that I can find. And so we'll come up here and take him out. Hopefully, if you're on a different console or on the PC, that will still work for you. And it'll do what it's supposed to do. And I want my sparks. There we go. Okay. So because that didn't work, let's just go ahead and take that out. We're done with that. And we'll come over here to the enemy wave generator. And let's go ahead and connect that to the path. So now we've made that connection. And again, that works just like the friend generator, or friendly wave generator did last time. We'll also connect to the locator. And we'll come configure the wave, and we'll add in the same mahogany bear. And under the properties, I'm going to set the generation delay to 0. And now because we've connected to the path, we have a new option down here, Toy Box Path. And when we come under here, we have the same 3 options that we had for the enemy generator, but we also have a speed option, and this is a modifier, and it's set to 100% right now, so the enemy will walk at 40 around the path, and that's fine. We'll leave those set at true, or set those properties set it on. And I'm going to come up to this button, and once again, new logic connection when pressed. We'll come over here and generate the wave. And a new logic connection when pressed on the reset button. We'll come over to the enemy wave generator and defeat the wave. And you'll notice there's a third option under here now that hasn't been here before. We'll get to that in a moment. Okay, so back up to the rooftop. We'll push the button. And just like before, the mahogany bear will spawn into the toy box, do his entrance roar, and walk over to the path and start walking the path. So that's good. And you'll notice I'm using the mahogany bear instead of a broom, because when the player comes down those stairs and he sees the brooms going back and forth, he's also going to see that guy walking along on the other side of the wall. And that's going to tell the player right away that there's something else going on in this toy box besides just the brooms being out of control. And that'll give you a little clue as to what I might have planned, though you're probably still going to wonder. And just like before, I can walk around him and he's going to completely ignore me. Let's go ahead and take him out. Okay, so now we're going to come down to the enemy wave generator, and I'm going to go back under the properties, under toy box path, and I'm going to turn both of these properties off. And what that means is, just like before, he's going to try to detect me, and as I walk around him, he's going to look at me, but he's still going to walk that path. But there's a workaround that we can use with the enemy wave generator that we can't use with the enemy generator. And so what I can do is, what I want to have happen is when the player comes up out of that well, the enemy will attack them. And so I can drop a trigger area over top of the well and set up a logic connection, so when it's entered by player, any, we can come over here to the enemy wave generator. And let's take a look at that new option, because we have a number of path-related options under here now. We can start an enemy moving along the path. We can stop him moving. We have the same reset, stop, and reset and play. We can make him go the other way, increase or decrease his speed. I'm going to tell him to stop. And so he's going to walk around that path until I come through this trigger area, and then that'll tell him to stop. And once he stops, because those two properties are off for ignoring outside influences and for returning to the path after attacking, he'll be free to leave the path and his normal behavior should kick in. So let's go ahead and test that. Okay, so here he is. He's going to start walking the path, and of course he's detecting me, but he's not leaving the path. However, if I come over to this trigger area, now you can see he's stopped. And now his normal behavior is going to kick in, and he is going to come over this way. Now he's attacking me, see? Or he was. Hello? Come get me. Whoa. Here he comes. Now he's going to come after me. So now his normal attack behavior comes into the play, and he works as you would hope he would work. So that's the workaround on my Wii U, is I can use that trigger area to snap him out of it. But the key is you have to make him stop moving on the path, and you have to have those two properties turned off. underneath the toy box path. Both of these have to be set to off. So that's how you can connect enemies to paths to set up a patrol route. Next week we'll talk about checkpoint paths and how you can use the path creator to set up a race. And since it just so happens that I need to build a horse race over in my Agrabah toy box, my next tutorial will be a special crossover episode with my Aladdin series, so that should be fun. Meanwhile, I hope the series has been helpful to you so far, and I hope you've been inspired to start building your own toy boxes. A few of you have sent me pictures of your creations, and I love seeing what other people are building, so I hope more of you will post pictures or videos of your toy boxes or email them to me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel or sign up on my blog if you haven't already done that and you love Disney Infinity. That way you won't miss the next lesson. Until next time, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.